Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Kludge Kits. My name is Calvin, and on the bench today, we have the Space Shuttle Discovery. Let's roll the clock back to the late 1970s. Picture NASA engineers huddled around a table, sketching out ideas for a reusable space vehicle. They wanted something that could go up, come back down, and then go up again, like a cosmic delivery truck. And so the Space Shuttle program was born. Discovery was one of the stars of this new fleet, joining the ranks of Columbia, Challenger, Atlantis, and Endeavour. Discovery officially rolled out in 1983, looking shiny and new, and probably a little nervous. It was named after famous ships of exploration. Think of it as a nod to the adventurous spirit of humanity. But let's be honest, NASA probably just wanted to set the bar high. You can't name a shuttle Discovery and then have it sit in the hangar. Discovery's first mission, STS-41D, took off on August 30th, 1984. It at least tried to take off, but experienced a little performance anxiety. It then stayed put for a while. The launch was delayed by several technical issues. Think of the panic these engineers experienced. Imagine trying to start your car on a cold morning, but your car is a multi-billion-dollar spacecraft. When it finally did take off, Discovery carried a satellite and 6 astronauts: Henry Hartsfield, Michael Coates, Judith Resnick, Stephen Hawley, Richard Mullane, and Charles Walker. Their mission? To deploy this satellite into orbit. Unfortunately, this didn't go as planned. The satellite got stuck, refusing to budge from its cozy spot in the payload bay. So what did the crew do? They went outside for a little spacewalk and gave it a gentle push, like you might do when Aunt Tina gets stuck in the doorway to the buffet line. And just like that, the satellite was off, floating away to do whatever satellites do up there. Crisis averted, and Discovery was officially in the game. Fast forward to 1990. Discovery was tasked with delivering the Hubble Space Telescope into orbit. This was a huge deal. Hubble was going to take the most stunning pictures of the universe ever seen. But when it started sending back images, there was a slight problem. They were blurry. And not just a little out of focus, I'm talking like someone put Vaseline on the lens. It turns out, Hubble's mirror had a tiny flaw, but in space, tiny flaws make a big difference. NASA's solution? Send Discovery back up in 1993 on a repair mission. The crew, armed with some serious space tools, managed to fix Hubble's vision. Think of it as the world's most expensive eye surgery. Suddenly, Hubble was sending back crystal clear images, and everyone at NASA breathed a huge sigh of relief. Discovery had saved the day, and Hubble's career. By the mid-90s, Discovery wasn't just a shuttle. It was a space ambassador. The Space Shuttle Discovery's mission, STS-63, was a landmark event in space history. Launched on February 3, 1995, this mission was notable for being the first shuttle flight to rendezvous with the Russian space station Mir. The main goal of STS-63 was to perform a close approach and docking practice with Mir, as part of efforts to prepare for future collaborative missions between NASA and Russia. The mission aimed to demonstrate that American and Russian spacecraft could work together in space, paving the way for future partnerships. Discovery, commanded by astronaut James Weatherby, approached Mir with a high level of precision. The plan was to get within about 30 feet of the station for a photo op and to allow the crew to observe Mir up close. The idea was to make it a historic moment of international cooperation. As it turned out, Discovery was about 400 feet away from Mir when it reached the closest point of its approach. So instead of a dramatic docking, it was more like an extended hello from a distance. It was a bit like showing up for a meet and greet but realizing you're at the far end of the room. Not quite the close-up encounter they had hoped for, but still a significant milestone. Despite the distance, the mission was a huge success. It marked the beginning of a new era of international collaboration in space. It set the stage for future missions, including the Shuttle Mir program and eventually the International Space Station. The mission was also notable for being a symbolic gesture of peace and cooperation between two former Cold War adversaries. STS-63 highlighted the potential for global teamwork in space exploration and demonstrated that even if things don't always go according to plan, there's still a lot to be achieved. The mission was a crucial step in building the relationships and protocols needed for future space missions involving multiple countries. So while Discovery didn't quite have a high-five moment with Mir, the mission was a historic first step in a new chapter of international space exploration. Nearly a decade later, February 1st, 2003, what began as a routine re-entry after a successful mission quickly turned into a heartbreaking tragedy. The Space Shuttle Columbia, carrying 7 astronauts who had spent 16 days conducting scientific research in orbit, disintegrated upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. The world watched in shock as one of NASA's most seasoned shuttles was lost, along with the courageous crew aboard. It all began on launch day, when a piece of foam insulation broke away from the shuttle's external fuel tank and struck the left wing. It seemed like a minor incident at the time. After all, the shuttle had withstood similar strikes before, but this time the damage was far more serious. The foam strike left a breach in the thermal protection system, a crucial shield against the intense heat of re-entry. As Columbia descended through the atmosphere, hot gases penetrated the damaged wing, leading to the shuttle's structural failure. The crew, Rick Husband, William McCool, Michael Anderson, Ilan Ramon, Kalpanachala, David Brown, and Laurel Clark, were unaware of the catastrophe unfolding around them. In those final moments, they were still focused on their mission, on returning home. The loss of Columbia was a stark reminder of the dangers of space exploration, of the razor-thin margins for error in this high-stakes field. It wasn't just a loss for NASA, it was a loss for humanity, a somber moment that forced us to reflect on the cost of pushing the boundaries of our knowledge and technology. But even in this tragedy, the spirit of exploration persisted. The lessons learned from Columbia's loss led to significant changes in NASA's safety protocols, ensuring that future missions would be safer for those who dare to venture into the unknown. The memory of those 7 astronauts who gave their lives in the pursuit of discovery continues to inspire us to reach for the stars, no matter how perilous the journey may be. After the tragic loss of Columbia in 2003, NASA grounded the shuttle program to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it. When it was time to return to space, who did they call? Discovery, of course. The mission, STS-114, was dubbed the Return to Flight mission, and all eyes were on Discovery to see if it could pull it off. The mission involved testing new safety procedures and delivering supplies to the International Space Station. But during the mission, they discovered a piece of gap filler, basically a strip of fabric used to smooth out the shuttle's surface, had come loose during launch. This wasn't just a cosmetic issue, but also a safety concern. It was like finding out your rope was frayed while rock climbing 500 feet above the ground. So what did NASA do? They sent astronaut Stephen Robinson out on a spacewalk to remove the gap filler using a pair of forceps, the kind you might see in a dentist's office. Just goes to show, even in space, sometimes the simplest tools get the job done. Discovery completed the mission successfully, proving once again that it was the shuttle you could count on. By 2011, Discovery had been to space more times than most people have been to the grocery store. It had done its job and then some, but all good things must come to an end. Discovery's final mission, STS-133, was a bittersweet one. The shuttle's task was to deliver supplies and a humanoid robot named Robonaut 2 to the International Space Station. R2 was designed to perform tasks that would otherwise require human intervention, such as handling tools, operating controls, and assisting with maintenance and experiments. Standing about 5 feet tall and weighing around 300 pounds, this thing was built just like my little brother. Robonaut 2 was equipped with dexterous hands and arms, allowing it to perform intricate tasks with a high degree of precision. It had a pair of human-like arms with 38 degrees of freedom, making it highly adaptable to various tasks. R2's design aimed to make life easier for astronauts by taking on routine or hazardous tasks, thus allowing them to focus on more complex scientific work. Although initially deployed in space, Robonaut 2 faced challenges with its systems and required upgrades. Despite these hurdles, it represented a significant step in robotic assistance in space exploration and a glimpse into the potential for robots to support human missions in the future. After the mission, Discovery retired, but not before getting the VIP treatment. The shuttle was carefully transported to the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum, where it now sits as a permanent exhibit. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, have a good evening.